Now, some other things about Trident, which some of you may well know already. It is an extremely deadly explosive weapon. It has, the full Trident has 200 warheads, each one of which is 8 times as powerful as the atom bomb that destroyed Hiroshima and killed over 100,000 people. That is what we're talking about when we talk about Trident. When we talk about renewing it and upstaging it and upgrading it, we are talking about spending £76 billion on this. £76 billion we need to improve education, social welfare and all those sorts of civilian projects which I hardly need to specify to you. We are also talking about a weapon which is frighteningly dangerous. Now, over the years, there have been occasions when a nuclear holocaust nearly broke out by accident, because nuclear weapons, including Trident, are not foolproof. There have been grave computer errors which have nearly landed the world in nuclear war, actually by mistake. There were radar readings decades ago which mistook the rising moon on one occasion and a flight of geese on another for incoming Soviet nuclear missiles. And much more recently, there has been at nuclear sites, as distinct from actual warfare, very dangerous accidents. There has been a release of radiation at Faslane. There have been major accidents at Burfield in Berkshire near Aldermaston, where the warheads are to some extent manufactured. So we're talking about a weapon which is not a deterrent. It is intended for first strike, which is contrary to a whole battery of international law, starting with the Hague Convention at the end of World War II, coming right up to recent times, to our Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which regularly has conferences, and paragraph 6 of which specifies that other countries without nuclear weapons should not acquire them on condition that the countries that do have them start to get rid of them. Well, I put it to you, our plans to improve and renew the Trident missile hardly conform with the terms of paragraph 6 of that treaty. So we are in breach of that treaty too. Now, I am personally very pleased that the SNP should have the policy it has. I only wish our Labour Party still had such a policy, calling for nuclear disarmament and opposing nuclear Trident renewal programmes, and that your Parliament has actually taken up a position of opposing Trident renewal and has set up a working group to consider ways and means of possibly achieving this, and I personally wish them every success in finding ways of implementing it. Not forgetting that one of the accidents which possession of the Trident is liable to, going back to accidents, is the accident on the highways. It has been admitted by the Ministry of Defence that were there to be a major pile-up or traffic accident on a main road or even a smaller road along which a nuclear weapons transport was travelling, perhaps between Aldermaston and Coolport, they often do have to go along that way, taking their weapons with them. Now, this could actually cause a nuclear explosion. I mean, that is something worth thinking about. The possibility of a pile-up on a road where there was transport carrying nuclear weapons could, if there were an accident, a road traffic accident, actually lead to something as terrible as a nuclear holocaust. I would remind you that when they were going to have the Polaris submarines established in this country, the protest around the Holy Loch and the Clyde area generally, but also elsewhere in Scotland, was so great, and I don't know whether this is widely known, but at the time, the authorities seriously considered not having the Polaris missile system in this country. But guess where they thought of having it? Northern Ireland, of course, in one of the deeper lochs. Well, this didn't happen, but it can reveal to us what the effectiveness of protest could be. And one final thing I would say to you when I encourage you to go out in your masses as you have already to protest in every way possible at Faslane and wherever else is an appropriate target in Scotland. I would remind you of a very successful, totally successful protest, you may or may not know about already, in this part of the world. And I refer to Orkney, which may or may not be considered part of Scotland, I suppose. But in any case, whatever you consider Orkney to be, it is in this part of the world. And back in the early 80s, late 70s, there were wicked, ugly schemes to mine for uranium, believe it or not, in Orkney. Spoil those beautiful islands. And such was the protest by the Orcadians that the scheme had to be dropped. Now put that in your peace pipe and smoke it, and take it as encouragement to go out and protest. It can, from time to time, achieve victories, as I hope I've demonstrated. I've been told we're not to speak for longer than 10 minutes. I've no idea how long I've been speaking for. But I intend to wind up now by reading you what I hope is an appropriate poem. I had a holiday in Orkney round about the time of this protest, and it prompted this poem, the title of which is Holiday Escape. Hey. I haven't finished yet. Holiday Escape. Tan rock strata sparks rains beneath green matting fields. Tan moorland, sunned barley swirling sheen. Goats, cattle graze in peace. Breeze sweeps upland beach. Stone farms cluster free. Have stood for years, through decades, eons, centuries. Underneath, beside, below, tool and weapon-equipped tombs of perished peasants, chieftains, dead of bygone wars, the poisonous mineral lurks, blisters, crackles, lies in wait. In battles long ago, one warrior for 1,000 fell. Next time, one in every million may possibly survive. Bullocks lash your tails, roar. Goats scream, kick your hooves and charge. Farmers hurl your pitchforks, bellow, rage and cuss, and howl and summon Magnus, Harold, Erland, Hakon. Rouse the wrath of Viking kings to stop these modern Vandal warlords tearing up the island's soil, quarrying the gold-looked cliffs, mining out the fissile rock, turning Orkney into bombs. And they won. Orkney has not been turned into bombs.
To thank Pat Arrowsmith for those remarks. There's the first. I don't think there's ever been a poem at the Edinburgh May Day March before, so somebody who's the confidence to finish with a poem about Orkney. I'm sure we've all been there. Listen, I want to thank Pat Arrowsmith for those remarks. I want to thank Aida Vela, Mohammed, Katrina, though she's away, and I want to thank Seamus as well, all the speakers.